Welcome to the 14th Annual Black Scholar Awards. It's a great pleasure that I welcome everybody. It's not too often we get to acknowledge academic achievement in our community. So welcome, family, friends, and colleagues. Tonight's evening, we want to go smoothly. I would ask some of you to come down a little closer if you don't mind.
No takers.
No takers, huh? About myself, yes, I am the Assistant Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. I am an alumni, and it's with great honor I get to preside over this ceremony. As an aspiring scholar myself, I look to others that have proceeded before me for guidance, and I hope that students that are graduating this evening will also set the bar for those that follow you. Tonight is an intersection between the past, the future, and the present. So those in the past like Paul Cuffey, Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, Maria Stewart, Martin Luther King, those in the present today that are receiving the awards, and those in the future that you guys are setting the example for. So enough of me speaking this evening, and I'd like to bring to the podium Dr. Chris Hunter, the co-chair. Come on, Dr. Hunter.
Good evening. It is certainly an esteemed honor and pleasure to be with you in this 14th Annual Black Scholars Awards program. This is one of these treasured moments of the year. I love teaching. I'm a professor in the Department of Civil Engineering. Love my time teaching in front of the students, love doing my research, but it's times like these when you really have a real zest for life. When you see what these young black scholars are doing on our campus, it's one of the few times that we really get the chance to acknowledge them. And you're going to hear some wonderful stories this evening about people who are achieved in the classroom in terms of academic performance, in terms of leadership with organizations, in terms of their outreach, community service. The faces that you will see this evening and the stories that you hear will represent truly some of the best that URI has to offer. The President of our United States, our first African-American president, continues to send out a clear message. He wants the best and the brightest of us to face the challenges that are present and await us. You're going to hear about some incredible young people who are willing to step forward and start taking on these challenges in the United States and around the world. URI, small state, small school, but we think big, and we'll find big solutions for this world. I welcome you once again to the 14th Annual Scholars Awards. Enjoy.
And next, I would like to call to the podium Dr. Gilpin.
Okay. We don't have Dr. Gilpin present yet, so at this point we call Reverend Dr. Quaynu.
Thank you, and good evening. My name is Dr. Vanessa Quaynu, and I'm the Interim Director for the Africana Studies Program. And I'm simply here to congratulate you, all of the most worthy recipients, and to honor you. I stand with Dr. Cunningham and his committee, those who have worked with him, and I say this is a new day for us. I am really seeing that we are growing and evolving and coming into our own as a people. And so all that's noble and all that is worthy is represented by the hard work that you, the students, the recipients, have demonstrated here tonight. Just to honor you, along with the awards Africana Studies is doing something that I think is very special. This year, the students of Africana Studies have put together what I believe is a very beautiful magazine. This is what they're calling the premier edition. To honor you, the recipients, you are receiving the first copies of the magazine. We will have a copy for each one of the recipients. The student assistant, just raise your hand, Heidi, put you on the spot. Our student assistant, Heidi Ariaza, will be standing at the back door at the end of the ceremony. And again, it is to honor you. Thank you very much. Absolutely. It'd be my pleasure. Dr. Conigan has asked if I would give the invocation. For those of you who would like to, please join us. Let's pray. Dear Father, we thank you tonight for your goodness. We thank you that you are the great creator, and you have created us, men and women, human beings, equal, and we thank you for that. We give you all the praise, and we ask that you would bless everything that is represented in these beautiful young people that is good. The hard work, the discipline, the intellectual curiosity, the belief that we can do better. We thank you for the opportunity to live as a community of people who care for one another. Bless us and bless this evening. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Thank you.
Right after asking Dr. Quenu to give the invocation, the person who's supposed to give it arrived. So I'll have Dr. Gilton give us the benediction at the end. Okay. This is not on the program, as you can see, but I take liberties every year. So at this time, we would like to recognize dignitaries, if you will, who have graced us with their presence. And I'd like to first recognize Vice Provost Donald DeHaze to say a few words in recognition of the achievements of the students.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. What a pleasure. Wow, you all look so dressed up tonight. Not used to seeing that on the college campus. This is an extraordinary evening for the university to celebrate some of our best, some of our brightest, some of our most accomplished students. You are a tribute to your university, you're a tribute to your faculty, to your families, but mostly to yourself. You know, when we set out a couple of years ago to chart a new plan for the university, we started with a front page that talked about a culture of achievement. And each of you students tonight are emblematic of that culture of achievement. As I looked through the awards, I saw achievement for scholarship, artistic prowess, service to the Black community, service to the university community, scholar athletes. What an extraordinary array of talent in this room. So I not only congratulate you, I thank you. I thank you for giving your best for yourself, for your community, and for the University of Rhode Island. Congratulations.
Another person I would like to introduce is Mr. Michael Obel-Omia. He's the head of school of Paul Cuffey School, who also represents high academic achievement in the communities of color in Providence. Mr. Obel-Omia.
Thank you very much. It really is an honor for me to be here. I'm here because of Mr. Smith, who's on my board at Paul Cuffey. And for those of you who don't know Paul Cuffey, I think the reason I'm here is I represent, in his words, the future. I am the head of school of a charter school founded in 2001. And Paul Cuffey School is right in the heart of Providence, is in the heart of South Providence. For those of you who know Providence, we were founded in 2001, and our goal was to uplift the youth of Providence. And we've been functioning now for 9 years. We are blessedly now through 9th grade and hope to make our way through 12th grade by 2013. We are a school that believes in our community. All the students come from Providence. They find their way there through lottery. We are a public charter school, and we've been blessed to have succeeded in our mission. Our mission is to honor Paul Cuffey. And Paul Cuffey was an African-American, Native American, free man, Quaker man, sailing captain who was born in 1759 and died in 1817. And in that span of life, he was a man who believed very much in social justice. He was a man who was incredibly generous, founding or putting together one of the first integrated schools in our nation in Westport, Massachusetts. He was a man who did not let the times keep him from achieving. He was a man who went away from America for a period of time, and on his way back lost his ship. He was a sailing captain that was taken by the United States government in 1812. During the War of 1812, he wrote one of those great "What kind of country are you running?" letters to the president, and actually received an audience with the president. He was the first African American man to walk through the doors of the White House. And when we think about him and what he accomplished in that century, we tell our kids daily, if he could then, why not you now? And we have achieved at a rate that is not only commensurate with the state of Rhode Island, but actually exceeds the rate of Rhode Island. We are a school that is 89% minority. We are a school where 77% of our children qualify for reduced or free lunch. And yet our test scores exceed the state average. And I tell you that not to brag, but to say when you think about our base and you hear about the African American, Latino children, and you hear about their struggles, and you hear they can't make it because they're in poverty, we are one example that we can. Now, how do we do it? We do it because we know and we love every child. And I stand before you as a representative of the future to remind you of service, of connecting. And for those of you scholars in this room, and I'm blessed that you're back after 12 years away, you're here to return. And I'm here to say, though not a native Rhode Islander, I'm here to say, I want you to stay in this state, and I want you to return, and I want you to connect with our students, because we need role models like you to inspire them. And as you think about what you're going to do, and you'll have opportunity to do whatever you want, because you are the best and you're the brightest, and people will come at you with all kinds of opportunities, my hope is that you will think about service, that you will think about, even though Paul Cuffey was probably the first incredibly wealthy African American during his time, he always thought about how he could give back. And no matter what you choose to do, I hope that you will serve your country and you will serve your people and you will help uplift the next generation. So I'm here to thank you, to honor you, to give praise to you, but also to beseech you, to implore you, to beg you to come and help the children who very much need you. So thank you for this time to be here, and thank you for your success. Congratulations.
In regards to what he just said, one of the projects that Dean Smith and I are working on for the Onyx Senior Honor Society prospective members for next year is to work as tutors at Paul Cuffey. We hope that we can get juniors who have 3.0 or higher GPAs, that's required to be an Onyx member, to volunteer. Actually, it's not going to be quite a volunteer. It's going to be an internship that you can get college credit for. But nevertheless, to work with the students at Paul Cuffey, and we're planning on working out the details with you in the future.
Now tonight, I have the honor of introducing tonight's keynote speaker. It is not too often that somebody comes here as a student and as an athlete and excels in both arenas. And when I say excel, I first remember this young scholar athlete when I recruited him as a graduate student back in 1985, I think. 95, excuse me. I'm dating myself. Dating yourself, right? All right. I've been here since 84. Now, this young man, I had the distinct opportunity to recruit him and to welcome him to this institution as an alumni and as a former student athlete myself. And reflecting back, I would have never fathomed that he would be here tonight. So back to the theme, very rarely do you have somebody that excels, that steps on the backs of a Dr. Hamilton, of a Rosie Pigueras, of those that were in the political science department, goes out into the community and does service, and then comes back. Ibrahim Abdul-Matin is an activist, first and foremost. He's a well-published author of the Green Deen. He works in the mayor's office on sustainable development for policy, and he has a blog. Now, all joking aside, Ibrahim come back today to talk to students. When I asked him,
We're broadcasting live, and we need to be near the microphone.
Excuse me. See, I'm getting beyond myself.
Getting carried away. I understand, but you need to be near the microphone.
Well, Ibrahim, when I called him last year about this time, and I asked him if he would be interested in speaking at the Black Scholar Awards, he didn't hesitate. He remembered when he received his award, the Martin Luther King Award, and he was honored to come back and to tell his story to students. Then when I set up the program for Ibrahim, he specifically requested to speak to students. So today we had a meet and greet, and he spoke to the landscape architecture department and to the AAF students. So for those of you that are aspiring scholars that want to achieve things beyond yourself, Ibrahim is actually a great example. Now, when you think about the freedom movement and when the first Africans formed themselves back in 1780, the first thing they did was organize the community for the educational uplift of the collective. This evening is no different. This strand of freedom, this freedom movement has burned since day one right here in Rhode Island. It's a discussion that we never have. And tonight, Ibrahim, you represent that movement. And it's with great honor and respect that I welcome him to the podium. Come on, Ibrahim.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? So it is truly an honor to be here. When I speak about URI to people, I do this thing where I go like this. People are like, University of Rhode Island, and I go, So some of you guys that are current students, you may be like, okay, I got finals coming up. In time, you're going to have that sigh, that kind of calmness, the reflection. And there's something special about your undergraduate education. Those of you who know, who've been undergrad, there's a connection to the place. And then there's something special about your graduate education. There's a connection to the people. There's a fellowship of what you've been through to get through whatever you had to get through to get that degree. So this is the place where you're going to have that personal connection to the place and to the experience, to the feeling. Today when I walked out on the football field, I smelled the football field and I was like, wow, there's nothing like that exists. And there's nothing like that on that field because I intimately know that field and know what that field feels like. So it was an honor and a pleasure. So obviously to the distinguished guests, there's too many in the room, to the people, to the distinguished guests, to the wonderful people in the room who I've been on journeys with here and people that I've rooted for and rooted for me. It's truly an honor to be here. I want to begin with just a little bit of a contrast to give you context. I did come here in 1995, and back then, let's talk about email real quick. An email in 1995. So email in 1995 at the University of Rhode Island, when you walked in the library, you went to the right-hand side, there was a room. It was called the email room, right? Or maybe it wasn't called that, but that's what we thought of it as. It had these little, I think they were Macs, were they Macs? And they were like the old school ones. And you had your email, my email address was URI. IABD2130 @uri.acc.edu. What? That was dial-up. Right? This is 1995. So 2011, and I'm here with my iPad. Okay? So that just goes to show you have no clue. We would have no idea that I would be using this iPad. You have no clue what technology you are first of all going to use, and much less going to create or build. You have no clue what work you're going to be doing, where you're going to be at. You only have a really wonderful foundation if you've taken advantage of it, and if you're in this room, that means you have taken advantage of it. So just for a brief moment as we begin, let us acknowledge the young scholars by giving them a round of applause, please. Now, we're going to do that again, but I want the young scholars to stand up, and we're going to acknowledge them again, please. Thank you. Now, I could go into a whole soliloquy about my time at URI, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about some things that are current and present. The first thing I'm going to begin with is a verse from the Quran. I'm a Muslim, and there's a verse in the Quran that says, "Truly God does not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves." Truly God does not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. If you are a person of faith, then faith means action. Faith means taking responsibility for your actions. It means doing. It does not mean waiting. It does not mean hoping. It does not mean fear, because both hope and fear paralyze you. It stops you in your tracks. You have to be willing to face your fear, and you have to be willing to see the practicality in your hope. Today, you are in the beginning of a journey of action. Because yes, you've done an incredible amount, and that's awesome, and I acknowledge you, and you will be acknowledged. But the true test of your mettle has yet to come. When I was a junior in high school, we lost this huge game. Everybody was bawling. You should have seen us. It was like it was like being in therapy. You should have seen all of us. And our coach just stopped us. He said, "Listen, guys, this is going to pale in comparison to the things that you're going to deal with in real life. The real life challenges that you're going to face that you have yet to you have no idea what they'll be like." And he's like, and they won't be related to football. They'll be related to your family, to the people you love. So your true challenges have yet to come. Now, there's going to be hopefully a theme that's going to come through here. And if you're bored or tired, you can't fall asleep, I'm going to call you out. So, people know the history of the homesteaders, right? They went out west. They created something out of nothing. My great-grandfather, John Pegg, and I mention him today, why? Because when I was a senior in high school, I wrote in my essay about John Pegg, who was the head of Weights and Measures in Omaha, Nebraska. And he was an important man. They called him a race man at the time. And those of you who understand what a race man meant, it means he was about the uplifting of his people. And people came to him. They came to him to help. He helped them. So they were coming out west. He would give them horses. He would give them a wagon. He would give them tools. He would give them some seed and some feed for their animals. And he would send them out to parcels of land that 20 years earlier they had homesteaded and said, "This is our land." These were people that came here, that came there after slavery and staked a claim to a place that said, this is free from slavery. This is our universe. We are creating from nothing. Now, if I told you that story, if I just said John Pegg, head of weights and measures, you're like, wow, that's great. That's amazing. You know, there's almost a romantic air to it. You know, black people are awesome. We're infallible. Now, the real story, one of the little tweaks in that story, you know, John Pegg, he was a councilman. He headed a literary society. He was the person that if any trouble happened in the black community in Omaha, Nebraska, people would come to him. To investigate murders, people would come to him. Now, the other part of that story, and this is the challenge of the scholar, you have to be committed to the truth. You cannot shy away from the truth. So the other part of that story is that one time he had a political dispute. And he had a fight in a courthouse, a fist fight. It's documented in the newspaper. My great-grandfather, the great John Pegg, pummeling a guy in a courthouse, getting arrested. Could you imagine that? Right? Now, maybe that's how they dealt with political disputes in that time. Maybe that's how they're going to start doing in our Congress today. We don't know. It might get that way, right? You know, there's a picture of him with President Taft when he was on, you know, his campaign trail. There's a lot of history there, but you cannot divorce history from its context. You cannot take people out of their particular moment. And I'm mentioning this now because this is your political moment. This is your current history. This is your real life. This is the moment that you are in. What is your context? Now, the true scholar demonstrates to the listener and the learner that there are frailties to human beings, that we have weaknesses. They uncover those weaknesses. They examine them. They try to learn from them because we all struggle with them. The question that I have today, there's a couple of different questions, but one of the key ones is, what is our moment right now? What is this particular political moment? So, first of all, we cannot forget about what's happening in Japan. In this moment right now, you had what some people are calling the quake and bake. You have an earthquake that shakes the earth. And then all of a sudden, something that we've invested so much time in nuclear energy, exposed, spoiling the earth, spoiling the water. They dump tons of billions of gallons of radioactive water into the ocean today. Do you know what that means? That means a nation that has the highest life expectancy on earth. Why? Because they eat fresh fish and they have the most amazing diet in the world. Now they have to worry about the radioactivity of the fish that they're eating. This opens up old wounds, wounds that we helped to create. We are complicit in this whole conversation. What is our particular moment right now? What is our intention? What's happening in North Africa? You have wars of independence. You have people rising up against oppression. This is not an accident. What's happening in the Arabian Peninsula? You have wars of independence. You have people trying to stomp down resistance as we speak. People are standing up against tanks. People are with guns, killing each other. And us, we are paying for bombs to rain down on other people. This is our particular moment that we are in right now. That's what's happening on the world. But let's think about history a little bit. In Egypt, everyone gathered in Tahrir Square, and everyone watched, captive on the screen. Interestingly enough, people were gathering in Wisconsin. People were gathering, in the State House in Madison. People were gathering all across the globe, gathering together. Why? Because they want to determine the way they want to live and their rights and their life. Now, in Tahrir Square, the story that they did not tell you, they set up a kindergarten during the whole revolution that they were having. The people of Egypt will consistently tell you that people could care less about garbage. They never took care of public safety. They didn't care about these things. In Tahrir Square, around it, the Egyptians were cleaning up after themselves. They didn't need the government. They didn't need anything. They needed self-respect. They set up a kitchen area, a food area. They divided up Tahrir Square to be the image and the vision of the future society that they wanted to see. They created community in their own universe, right where their hands could touch. This is our political moment right now. What's happening in Libya? We have decided that democracy is precious, and we will impose our will to ensure that democracy exists. But what about the Ivory Coast? Right now, people are being massacred in the Ivory Coast. What about our imposition of our will on what's happening there, where a democratically elected president is not allowed to take his seat because they're forcibly preventing him from taking his seat? Where are our tanks and our bombs and our weapons to support that? Why are we not there? Now, the true historian will tell you, and the true scholar will say, the answer, you know what, this is the answer in any grad school class for policy, is it depends. It depends. Say that in any class, the professor will be like, wow, they're very smart. So it's not as easy as you think it is. You know, there's not a regional conflict happening, or maybe there is. The Democratic Republic of Congo, in Zimbabwe. What's happening all over our globe right now? Now, one of the important things that I want us to be mindful of, there's this constant dichotomy that exists between capitalism and socialism, these general ideals. As a Muslim, and I would argue all people of faith, and this is what I offer to you students as something to really sit with and think about. You should not define your value. Hold on. Students, are you listening to this? Are you listening? You should not define your value by what you can create, make, or destroy. Your value should be defined by your relationship and your understanding of your own self. And in that process, you develop a relationship with your Creator. The path that you choose to find and define that relationship with your Creator is your choice. But that knowledge of self is the foundation of all of it. Again, you should not define yourself by what you can create, make, or destroy, by what car you drive, by what clothes you wear, by any of that stuff. It's frivolous. Your value is based on your understanding of your own self. And in my case, I define my value on my relationship to God, on my relationship to Allah. And Malcolm X described Allah. He said, they asked him, are you still a Muslim when he came back from Mecca? He said, I am still a Muslim and my religion is Islam. And he said, I believe in the creator of the universe. He didn't say nothing. He said, I believe in the creator I believe you pray to the same creator of the universe. That's who I believe in. So, one of the things I hope that you've left this experience with at URI is a working theory of human nature. I hope that you can explain that and express that to other people. If you have not, you should be able to do that, but also be able to tell people why. You should have the eloquence of speech to be able to convince someone of your theory of human nature. So if you have not developed that, write that down right now. When we talk about, I'm going to switch back real quick. When we talk about this political moment, I'm going to go back to Japan because this is relevant. And it relates to our relationship to what we understand about things and possessions. Is everybody still with me? You guys aren't bored yet, or are you guys good? All right, good. All right. So the real question with Japan and nuclear power is this. If we choose as a society to say no to nuclear power, how many people here would say no to nuclear power? Raise your hand or not. If we choose as a society to look away from nuclear power, we have to make a decision. How are we going to account for some 30 to 40 to 50% of our electricity consumption? That's not, so part of that is saying, are we going to get wind power or solar power? No, that's not the question. The question is, are we going to learn how to reduce what we consume and reduce how much we use? These are the deeper questions. The scholar must look for the deeper questions underlying everything. Now, President Obama is forced with a choice, because now the nuclear power debate was the only place in the middle that the right wing and the left wing could actually agree on. Obama's now, that fragile coalition is now evaporated. And so what is he going to do? Is he going to go in the direction of more gas and more oil and more coal? Or is he going to go in the direction of wind and solar? What is he going to do? That's the question. This moment, this political moment that we're in, is about this test. It's lots of different tests that are coming consistently. Now, has anyone, this is going to be a little bit crazy, but has anyone ever heard of this term singularity? What's that? Singularity. Singularity is the point at which our computers, and it's about 30 or 40 years from now, the point at which our computers will be smarter than us. So people will say that they will have the processing power and the ability to think faster than us. Some people think that then they'll be able to take their soul and upload it into their computer. People really think this. And you'll be able to live forever. You'll be able to log in, right? Think about we started from the email thing. That's crazy. So the question really is, now that sounds, wow, that's crazy. But really it's, what is it about ourselves that we would even imagine being that disconnected from our earth? That disconnected from our own being? When are people going to say, I want to hold hands again? I want to walk on Narragansett by the ocean again. I want to stand at Point Judith and be like, yes. I want to be at Newton Rock and just melt into the ocean spray as it hits me. When are we going to feel again? So a challenge for you as you go into the world is to truly be those people that reconnect with people. Where you have an opportunity to send an email, pick up a phone call. If you want to get something done, set up a meeting. Go see people, sit with them. Have coffee and lunch for no reason. Figure out people that are mentors in your world and sit with them and learn from them and gain from them and vibe with them. Have dinner till late in the evening and just talk. Unloosen the tie and really get down to stuff that really matters. Remember that you are a human being, and that you are not disconnected from this planet. That you are actually made from the basic elements that the planet is made of. So that's another challenge to think of. So the final thing that I want to get to, and I know that everybody's got a lot of important things to do, like root for Butler tonight, I think, right? I don't know. I like the Butler coach. What are you going to do? He's 34 years old. I'm 34 years old. So I did like Shaka Smart. He's also 34 years old. So I was torn. I was really hoping that they would have knocked out both UConn and Kentucky. Then we could have had a real underdog, Final Four or Final Two. So the last thing I want to talk about is something that is particular to this particular moment, and this particular day. What day is today? It's the anniversary of the assassination of Martin Luther King. Now I want you to just take a moment and look around at the people in this room. Just look around. Make eye contact with somebody you don't know. smile at somebody. You know, everybody's beautiful, mashallah. So I want you to recognize that in this particular moment, your ancestors, the people that came before you, they did something special and wonderful and golden and fantastic to get you to be in this space. And that everyone in this space was meant to be here right now on this particular day. That somewhere somebody was going over some crazy shit. And my ancestors, they were chained and locked. Yours might have been filled with lice if they weren't chained and locked. It was all grimy and gritty and disgusting. It wasn't pretty. But everybody was saying a prayer. Somebody was saying a prayer. And that prayer is literally, you are the manifestation of that prayer. They had no idea that descendants of Cape Verde and descendants of, Native American descendants of people from Europe would be in one room celebrating the beauty of young people. They had no clue that that would exist. You are the answer to their prayers. Now, this day is also going to always remain etched in African American history, not because of any of us in this room, but maybe because of the responsibility that now weighs on each and every one of your shoulders to the young scholars. Friday, Dr. Manning Marable left us. He was a titan for scholars and African Americans all over the country and all over the world. For those of us that are of his generation, they've lost a brother, a cousin, a relative. For the rest of us, we've lost a teacher. Now, I spoke the other day with one of his key students. His name is Zahir Ali. Zahir said that Marable was a working scholar who turned out more PhDs than all the other black scholars out there combined. Now, I don't know the veracity of that statement, but it underscored the reality that he was training people. He put out a book every year. He didn't do this with affected speech. He didn't do it with a glib tongue, as they would say. He didn't have a preacher style to him. He wasn't a rock star. Yet he trained black and white, Arab and black and gay and lesbian. He trained everybody. If you were serious about doing the work, they came to him and he trained them. He trained them to research. He trained them to write history. He trained them how to teach and work with students. He trained them how to workshop papers. He was the real deal. Grad students that worked with him would leave his tutelage having been published. Why? Because he co-authored books with them. He shared the limelight with them. His latest book came out today, An Exhaustive History of Malcolm X. He called it his life's work. And like the story of my grandfather, you will know Malcolm X in a way you have never known him before. Not with all the glossiness and all the fiction. You will know the trueness as much as you can from the truest scholar of our generation. He has uncovered all sorts of layers, gotten into records that no one could ever find. And he did it all writing by hand. He was a human being. He wrote every single one on a legal pad, and he brought it in to his assistant every day, and he gave it to her. And she typed it up. He even did that with emails. One of his students said to him, he said his computer died, and Dr. Marable came to him and said, "Oh yeah, your hard drive died?" And he walked over to a file cabinet, and he pulled out all the emails he had written and he said, "This is my hard drive." Marable was the bridge between Columbia and Harlem. He would go into libraries and speak in front of 15 people the same way he would speak in front of an audience of 200. He treated each person with that individual attention and that focus. If you were serious, he was serious. Now, the interesting part about him, and this is where I'm going to close, is that the way that he died is really fascinating. He had the same disease that Bernie Mac had. Some people know that he had an immunological disease that attacked his lungs and reduced his capacity of his lungs. He was losing his voice. And some people could say the pure, when you are working at that level, he just literally, his great soul was forced into this work. And the beauty of his death at this particular moment in time is that it underscores it was not about his ego. It was about his work. That God specifically said, we are not going to let this get tainted. This is about the work. And you are an example of one of these workers. But what do we learn from his experience? For the young scholars in the room, are you guys listening? You have to take this. What I want you to learn from this piece is this. You have to find a way to center yourself and get grounded. You have to find a way to renew yourself and rejuvenate. You have to stay healthy. You have to eat right. You have to treat people well. You have to remember that your body and your body is a vessel for your soul and for your work. And at some level, you have to be mindful of that in this process of putting in the great work that you're going to put in. Now, there was another great African American who died similarly. Anyone ever heard of Octavia E. Butler? Great African American writer, fiction writer. If you ever want to read amazing science fiction, read her. She also died where she was losing her capacity in her lungs. And it's almost as if, being a scholar at that level, it's almost as if people aren't willing to, as a black scholar, it's going to be hard for them to hear you. Hard for them to want to accept what you have to say. But you have to have courage beyond what any negative experiences you've encountered or experienced. You have to believe so completely and solidly in your voice and what you have to say that nothing can deter you. Now, being a scholar is like being a painter. It's like being a singer who has to sing. And now you're a scholar and you're a worker, not because of your ego, because you can do nothing else at all. You have a drive that pushes you. I hope that anything that I've said here today, if it brings you closer to God and closer to your own knowledge of your own selves, then I have done my job. Anything that has been incorrect or false, that comes from me. Anything that's true and right, that comes from God alone. I want to end where I began, and hopefully you guys won't be, hopefully that there's been some value to this conversation. But truly, God does not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. Truly, God does not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. You have all of the tools and all of the faculties that you need. You are smart and brilliant. And people always tell you that, and you're like, oh yeah, they're just saying that. But I'm being honest. A baby is as smart as the oldest person in this room. They just don't have the same life experiences. So treat each person as if they are closer to their own knowledge of self than you are, and you will be humbled by every single person that you meet. God bless you. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the Black Scholar Awards Committee, it is my pleasure and honor to present to Brother Ibrahim Abdul-Matin the Tassie E. Taylor Jr. Community Spirit Award in recognition of your outstanding contributions and service to the communities of color through your efforts to create greater understanding of the critical urban environmental issues that have an impact on their lives. April 4th, 2011.
It's pretty cool. Mashallah.
Thanks, Eve. Thank you. As you guys are aware, this is the same person that came here in 1985 and took his books in. I keep wanting to date you 85, no, I'm sorry, man. 95, I would say 85. They took his books seriously. He graduated with honors. He was a vice president of Student Senate. And we had the opportunity to listen to him today to talk about the significance of locating oneself. It's a discussion we have in class. Now, while we laugh and joke, Ibrahim represents something bigger than all of us. He represents our aspirations. You guys have the challenge as scholars to carve a path for those behind you. So Ibrahim, thank you very much. Those are very powerful words, and I keep wanting to date you with 1985, but that's me. With no further ado, we'll get on with the program. I would like to call Dr. Kendall Moore to the stage.
Good evening. I'm Kendall Moore. I'm a professor in the Department of Journalism. Can I move this over? I can move it. Oh, sorry. And tonight I will be presenting the Gould Award. The Gould Award is for all-around outstanding achievement, and tonight I will be presenting it to Danielle Henderson. Danielle, could you come forward, please? Tonight, we honor her for her tireless work as a teacher, an advocate, a filmmaker, an author, and a scholar. A student leader who has remained committed to promoting justice and equality within our community. Through organizations such as Promoting Awareness for Gender Equality and Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and through her published essays such as Cringe, Teenage Diaries, Journals, Notes, Letters, Poems, and Abandoned Rock Operas, Arrested Development, Coming Home, and Night Traveling, Ms. Henderson has given herself fully to her passions that seem to equally engage creativity and social justice. Her time here at URI has been spent as an English literature and women's studies double major. Recognized for her intellect and deep thinking, Ms. Henderson was chosen to be a TA for Introduction to Women's Studies, where her mentor describes her as someone who works incredibly hard to help students in probing difficult issues, and someone who makes environments safe for students of all colors and walks of life to participate richly. Ms. Henderson's academic achievements have also been recognized through the support of various scholarships, including, but not limited to, and I mean not limited to, the International Education Scholarship, the Dana Sugar Scholarship, the Gilman International Scholarship, the Dorothy Donnelly Women's Studies Scholarship, the Lloyd and Marilyn England Scholarship, and the list went on and on. I had to stop in the interest of time. Dr. Jody Listberger, Chair of Women's Studies, who nominated Ms. Henderson, writes, 30 years of teaching, 5 different universities, as a teacher, a collaborator, scholar, feminist, leader, civil rights advocate, and humanist, Danielle stands out. Please join me in congratulating Ms. Henderson, the recipient of the Gould Award for all-around outstanding achievement. Congratulations. Is there a picture? Sure. That's great. Unless I can take that. Thank you.
You can say a few words.
Oh, sure. Thank you to Dr. Moore, who I remember from when I worked at the bakery at Sweet Cakes. She used to come in all the time. This means a lot to me. I work very hard and very passionate about education and educational access for all. It's not difficult for me to engage on this campus. There are amazing people here, and that goes for students and faculty alike. And I just want to say thank you very much.
Congratulations, Danielle. The next person I'm introducing is Mr. Mark Hodge, whose father was a freedom fighter and founder of Talent Development. Many of you students have had the opportunity to attend the university because of the struggles of his father. The significance of Mr. Hodge is that he was also a student activist. Unfortunately, today, nobody wants to be black. Mr. Hodge is not confused with that, and he actually articulates the significance of being black today. Mr. Hodge, please come up.
Good evening. It's my honor this evening to present the Arthur L. Hodge Award for Outstanding Community Service to Ashley Smith. Ashley, would you mind coming down? Ashley is a double major in African American Studies, as well as sociology. Ashley is very well traveled as well, where last year she did a study abroad in Accra, Ghana, at Ashesi University, where she taught arts and crafts to 6 to 10-year-old children. The year before, she did a student exchange in a little city down south called Jackson. Are you familiar with that, Dr. Cunningham? Where she did a national student exchange at Jackson State University. It is an honor to present this award to Ashley for 2 reasons. Number one, because she's a fine scholar, first and foremost, and truly an exemplary student, and one who leaves nothing and has definitely gone to the furthest lengths, and I'll explain to you why I mean that, to walk the walk. She is a major in African and African American Studies. As Dean Smith told you, I have been known as somewhat of a student activist and have been involved in the struggle in establishing African and African American Studies as a major here at this university. So it is a pleasure to award an honor give an award in my father's name to a student that's actually majored in something that a lot of the people that are sitting in this room helped to champion that major, including our esteemed Dr. Cynthia Hamilton, who held it down for so long. I say Ashley has truly walked the walk because not only has she performed outstanding community service here in Rhode Island with the Jumpstart program, mentoring elementary school students, but she also went all the way to Ghana to assist 6 to 10-year-olds in arts and crafts at what was the name of that school?
Hopin Daycare.
Okay, the Hopin Daycare. I'm sorry, I couldn't reference that quickly. So, without further ado, I would like to present to you Ashley Smith, the winner of the Arthur L. Hodge Award for Community Service. God bless you.
Well, thank you very much. I'm just very honored and surprised that I've had the opportunity to come this far. My time abroad and here and being from the South, I've had a very great opportunity to connect with Dr. Cunningham, who wrote my recommendations for both Mississippi and Ghana and graduate school soon. Yes. So I just really want to say thank you. Thank you to my parents who have gone through ups and downs with me. We didn't know we would be here today. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ashley. The next person I'm going to introduce is somebody that's been here for a long time. When I was a student, they provided support. They provided support for other students out of state. It's Dr. Yvette Hobbs Logan. Dr. Hobbs Logan is a co-founder of the Black Scholar Awards. And her and her husband provided tremendous support for the student activists on campus in 1992. Thank you.
Tonight, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the Black Scholar recipient of the Martin Luther King Jr. Award for Outstanding Leadership and Contribution to the University Community. I would like to present to you Mr. Stephen Larkin. The King Award is presented to a senior in recognition of outstanding service in the following areas: organizational leadership and participation, volunteer services, general services, that academic performance, and relationships with faculty. The 2011 Black Scholar recipient has demonstrated excellence in all 5 of these areas that I have mentioned. For example, he is a founder of BOND, which stands for Brothers on a New Direction. He has engaged in activities such as ABC6 Walk for Diabetes. He's been actively involved with Bond Gap, which is a weekend guaranteed admission program. He's actively participated in Bond Mentoring Program and a breast cancer walk. I see that you definitely support women. Thank you. His volunteer work includes organizing students to help clean up URI campus, assembling bags of non-perishable food and toiletries for the less fortunate. He has voluntarily advised ninth graders, and he has taught them to value the education and the impact and the empowerment of what education affords one. I present to you again Mr. Stephen Larkin.
Well, I guess growing up, I was always one of those kids that just asks why things a certain way, and I guess a lot of times people get complacent and just think that we can't do nothing to change, to create change. And growing up in Pawtucket, I always seen kids who was probably as smart as me or smarter than me not get to where I'm at, not get to school. They just turn into deviant behavior. And when I see that, it just really, I feel a certain way. I feel like as people, as everybody, we have to have a sense of community, a sense of trust, and we have to make sure that we do not, like, I feel a bond is based on 5 values, and one of our values state that although I may walk on the path to success, I will not go alone. I will bring forth with me my brother and his brother and so on, and that's what I truly believe in. I believe that we have to go out into community, do community service, and just get back to where we derive from, get back to anybody in need. And at the same time, on this campus, we gotta build that sense of community, make sure that everybody feels welcome, everybody has a home, a brother to go to, and that's what Bond is about. And I'm nothing without Bond. I've grown so much in these 4 years, 5 years, and I just like to thank everybody for coming out here today. This is a beautiful thing, and Dr. Cunningham been trying to get me to come for like the last 4 or 5 years, and I never came, and now I see you. And now I see what I was missing out on. This is such a beautiful thing, and I'd like to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you.
Congratulations, Steve. Given that today is the anniversary of Martin Luther King's assassination, Mr. Lively represents the best. All too often we focus on I have a dream, when actually Martin Luther King was one of direct action. So Steve, you wear it well. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Darren Simon. Darren's an alum. Darren. He is a renowned journalist and one of the members of the selection committee.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. First, I want to say that it's great to be back. Part of the first class in 1998, Dr. Cunningham. It's great to see, and I always come back every chance I get to this university. The award that I'm presenting tonight, and presenting the Harvard Robert Turney Award for Outstanding Service to the University of Rhode Island's Black community. That goes to Mr. Marquise Jones. Please come up for a second. Before I talk a little bit about what he's done, let's talk a little bit about him. He was born to his father's a Gulf War veteran. Father's a former EMT. He now is a truck driver, a very hardworking man. Mother, she works in a doctor's office. His two siblings. His parents have taught him to be passionate, to be diligent, to believe in himself, and to believe in people of color. And he's a part of something that was needed tremendously when I was here in 1998. And it's something groundbreaking. It takes some courage to be part of the Alumni of Color Network. This is a university where a very small percentage of students are students of color, roughly about 3% or so. So for many students of color, it was very challenging and very trying to go to this university. So the idea of an Alumni of Color Network, a network, a base, a nucleus, a pot, to build connection with alumni of color, it's a fabulous idea, one that should have been around years and years. So Marquise has helped to strengthen this Alumni of Color Network. He's worked with the pilot mentoring program. I'm his mentor. And this program it's a very new program. And for a lot of students get involved in activities on campus with organizations that are well known. But it takes a little bit of courage to get involved in an organization that is fledgling, is just starting, has no track record. I think it showed his passion, his belief in people of color, his belief in the potential of people of color, his belief in the potential of forming an alumni network here on campus that can be a great sounding board and a great resource for students of color, particularly African American students. And many other things. I mean, he's done around campus. He's a student athlete. And you look at sort of the regimen that he has. Practice hours and hours every day, running around, rarely here because of athletics. And he found his time, and he made it important to him to be a part of his Alumni of Color Network. He's done many other things. Recently helped to plan an event for students of color, a senior celebration, and a Black Inventors exhibit at the Multicultural Center. So it is with tremendous honor that I present this award to Marquise Jones, and it's my hope and my belief that this Alumni of Color Network will continue to grow, will become stronger, and will welcome all of you when you return.
Like Darren says, this is an honor, more or less a privilege, to be here in front of, great, faculty, staff, the students. Like Darren said, the ACN is something new, but we wanted to stick around, for a long, long time. So I'm trying to help build a foundation, so when I leave and I'm done, when I'm alumni, I can always come back and say, it's striving, and that's what I help do, help provide for my university, for my community. Once again, thank you.
Hey, thanks, Marquise. Marquise's work has been truly beautiful. You have done some wonderful things and you have touched a lot of folks. And as an alumni, we truly appreciate it. I reconnected with a lot of folks, Marquise. Next, we have Dr. Katahi Kati. Now, Dr. Kati, good to see you, man. This is another top-notch scholar who's been around for a long time and has trained a lot of students.
Thank you. I'd like to preface my short speech with a quotation from one of my favorite writers, who was born in the country of Guyana in South America and is currently a British citizen. She has a book of poetry called I Is a Long-Memoried Woman. And I share the title with you because we should all be long-memoried people. The last stanza of her poem says, I have crossed an ocean, I have lost a tongue, but in place of the old one, a new one has sprung. And we all recognize that crossing of oceans and the travails that accompany those crossings of oceans. Most of tonight's recipients probably have not crossed any ocean. They may have crossed a river or two, or one state line or two. But the recipient of tonight's Sojourner Truth Award has truly crossed an ocean, a very perilous ocean. Was born in civil war, has endured civil war, has survived that civil war, and only in 1999 did she find entry into this country. And as if that were not enough, needed heart surgery to correct an already existing condition, perhaps worsened by the travails of civil war. Yet, all those things together did not prevent the recipient of tonight's Sojourner Truth Award from excelling and being able to get her degree in May of this year. The Sojourner Truth Award tonight goes to Ruth Phillips. Welcome, Ruth, and be proud in your accomplishments and show yourself proud to your peers and to your father. And here is your award for all that you have done and all that you have been and all that you will ever be.
It is with great honor that I stand before you. I'm grateful to be over here tonight, and I'm thankful to God for giving me a second chance in life. Thank you, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ruth. Next, I'd like to introduce the elder statesman of faculty on campus. Any faculty member that has been here for as long as this person I'm going to mention, we have a lot to learn from. Dr. Gordon Dash. And I say that with affection, because I believe, Dr. Dash, you arrived here in 1974, when I don't think there was any people of color on campus. There were a few. Oh, man. I'd like to welcome our student honorees, their families, and certainly our distinguished speaker tonight, Mr. Abdul-Matin, who delivered just a wonderful, wonderful word. And certainly I do not want to be remiss in also acknowledging the university and the commitment of our provost to be here this evening to support the wonderful activities that the committee has put together for students who have worked so hard and have certainly given so much. Yes, I've been around for a long time. I came in 1974, so I've seen a lot of changes here at the University of Rhode Island. And one of the very pleasant changes is certainly the good work that's been done by the committee in putting together this ceremony that honors many of our students of color. As I was saying today in the College of Business, where I'm housed as a professor of finance, we have many students with extremely fine academic records. Sometimes they fall 1/10 of a point short of the awards that we normally give in our respective colleges, and without this fine work, many of these students would not receive very due recognition for their hard work. But tonight I'm here to bring honor to our recipient of the Jackie Robinson Scholar Athlete Award. Back in the day, I enjoyed being an athlete myself. I was a wrestler back in the day, but my first love was football. Until, well, when you meet our recipient, you realize that you get somebody that size running over you, then eventually you get it through your head that maybe you should do something else in life besides have these people run over you. But Jackie Robinson, before I call him down, I would just like to share a few words about Jackie Robinson. I grew up in New York, in Harlem, in the Colonial Park houses, which are located on 158th Street and 8th Avenue. And for those of you who know history or may have been around back a few years back, right next door to where I grew up were the Polo Grounds. And so the Polo Grounds served as the main stage for what was then the New York Giants. You know them as the San Francisco Giants today. And of course, in the Brooklyn borough, the borough of Brooklyn, I should say, we had the Brooklyn Dodgers. And we know that that's the team that first integrated Major League Baseball by signing Jackie Robinson back in 1946-47. Jackie Robinson was an outstanding individual. Came from a very strong family background, had the strength of family, and he was able to draw upon that strength to support his quest to play Major League Baseball and to become what he was, a star athlete. But as I talked to our recipient last night, we had a wonderful chat by telephone. Some of the principles that we have come to know so well in Jackie Robinson were just shining right through as I talked to our recipient. And let me just point out a few of those as I bring this to a presentation. First is mutuality and reciprocity. Being able to work together with shared responsibility, learning how to share resources and the like. You can't be an athlete at the top level without having that very, very basic characteristic. So sharing, learning to be a part of team, learning to just be working with others, learning how to sacrifice, take the back seat, take the front seat, all becomes one of those responsibilities. Partnership, learning how to get a job done in a shared environment. Sustainability, one of the hallmarks of athletes. Athletes hold a very special position in today's society. We pay them well. We expect them to perform. We rely upon athletes for a tremendous amount of our entertainment. And when their athletic days are over, we expect them to continue being leaders in both the community as well as in life and the world in general. Global citizenship. Athletes today are no longer our own domestic possessions. We expect them to have a contribution to the world community. We heard comments today about the problems that are certainly plaguing the Japanese people, the social and political issues that are certainly at the forefront. Well, we expect not only the politicians to be there, but we expect our athletes to find a way to make contributions in all facets of life and certainly to be at the forefront of helping us to find solutions to these major problems. Diversity and equity. Athletes are at the forefront of diversity. And certainly when I came along, for those of you who like women's basketball, who likes women's basketball? But guess what? Today, yeah, there you go. Well, back in the day, women could only play a half-court game. So they had two teams. One team was on offense and the other team was on defense, and you couldn't go across the midcourt line because women didn't have the stamina. They couldn't run across. And so we're talking about, in our honoring of Martin Luther King and our remembrance of his assassination, well, it was that era when finally the rules were changed back in the late 1960s that allowed women to play the full court game that we have today. So when we think about diversity and equity, it comes from the application of sports. And personal development. Personal development is not just about being able to pick up some weights, get into the weight room, do some squats, do some sit-ups, and the rest. But we're talking about learning how to use the discipline that comes from sports. Because for any top athlete, discipline is at the hallmark of what they do and what they practice every day. Learning how to get up, learning how to go to work when they don't want to, learning how to work through pain. You may have noticed I limped down here today. You know, those old injuries don't go away, they just come back. So get ready. But personal development is certainly a key. Well, Jackie Robinson, not only did he exhibit this in his fight to become a Major League Baseball player, but as with many of our athletes, the tremendous trials of becoming a top-level athlete force us to postpone some of the desires that we may have in life to after we're done. So Jackie Robinson, he was able to finish up his baseball career and then became a prominent businessman. Chock-full of Nuts may be a name that you know. And he was a vice president of Chock-full of Nuts and for Pepsi-Cola back in the 1950s. But his real contributions to society started to shine forth through then. In the interest of time, I won't read what I had hoped to share with you, but I do have a letter that's from 1958 when Jackie Robinson wrote to President Eisenhower and sort of spoke up on behalf of the Negroes and asked that the president stop using terms like patience and asking us to just take a step back while we wait for people to get ready to accept Negroes into society. Well, that is what we would expect from the qualities that are exhibited by any top-level athlete. Tonight, we're very fortunate to make this award to somebody who's run over a few people, knocked a few people down, and exhibited all of these qualities. And I would like to ask Mr. Willie McGinnis to come down and join us today and congratulate him. Don't run over. Willie McGinnis is not just an athlete. We have been fortunate to see him perform and to certainly give us great pleasure in watching, at least with the wins on our football team. We'll get better as time goes on. But he's been in the trenches. And when I say in the trenches, he's been there making tackles. He's had game identifying plays against Villanova, blocking a punt, allowing us to actually realize a win. And on top of that, he's performed in the classroom. He's a double major in communications and political science, and he has found time to not only take on the double major, but to excel by being on the dean's list and certainly becoming a scholar athlete, being recognized by the conference as a whole. And it is no small feat. And certainly when I have a chance to have an athlete in my classroom, I just take great pleasure in not only seeing them perform on the court, but also perform in life and good skills. Really, congratulations. You're well deserved. Sorry about being so long-winded, but that's me.
Sometimes we have a force in nature, and Gordon is one of our forces. Just have to let him go.
Thank you, Professor Dash. Like I said, I was fortunate to be able to become a scholar athlete here at University of Rhode Island, but I couldn't have done that without the professors here, my coaches here, and my peers. So I'd like to thank all of them for allowing me to be up here today. And secondly, I'd like to thank my grandmother, my mother, two most important people in my life. Without their undying support, I wouldn't be able to flourish into the person I am today. So thank you.
Congratulations, Willie. Congratulations, man. The next person I'd like to introduce
is the Vice President of the Alumni Association and the President of the Alumni of Color Network. And believe it or not, we're on his land tonight. He's actually a member of the indigenous nation of Narragansett. Is Mr. Raymond Watson. Very welcome.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the University of Rhode Island's Alumni Association, Alumni of Color Network, and also on behalf of the Wachana Band of the Narragansett Nation of Native Americans, thank you for the honor and privilege of being a part of this ceremony tonight. I have the distinct honor of being able to award the Noreen Coachman Award for Outstanding Achievement by an older student. And basically, the Coachman Award is presented to an older graduating senior who has achieved excellence in academic and extracurricular life while maintaining family and work responsibilities, and having a 9-to-5 of myself and being involved in the community as a whole. I definitely can appreciate the hardship that come along with trying to do school and life. So definitely take my hat off to this individual. I'll just read a little bit about her. Colleen Fiorito is a senior at the University of Rhode Island who is majoring in psychology with a minor in women's studies while also maintaining a 3.9. I could probably stop right there. But the list goes on. While pursuing her undergraduate degree, she has engaged in various activities ranging from didactic and research experiences to field applications. More specifically, she has been a teaching assistant working with Jody Lisberger, PhD, Director of Women's Studies. She's taught weekly recitation classes and directed student action projects, interned at Women and Infants Behavioral Health as a research assistant at the Day Clinic for Women Coping with Postpartum Depression, and is currently working with Dr. Jasmine Maynor, PhD, of the Department of Psychology on an independent research project investigating the experiences of social support among women of color at URI. Should I continue? Other research involvement includes partner abuse in perinatal women involved in psychiatric treatment and changes in clinical and demographic profile of perinatal women seeking day hospital treatment. She's a founding member of On Even Ground, a peer group for students with disabilities on the Feinstein campus. She is also a self-help leader for the Arthritis Foundation. In addition, she has volunteered at health fairs and facilitated workshops for patients living with chronic illness, and is also a founding member of the National Coalition for 100 Black Women, a nonprofit organization that enables African American women to address the diverse needs of their community through organizing programs, establishing networks, developing leadership talent, and recognizing the achievements of African Americans. Finally, Colleen is a member of Psi-Chi, the Psychology National Honor Society chapter at the university, and plans to pursue graduate studies in multicultural and health psychology. With no further ado, Ms. Colleen. Oh goodness, I don't want to say the last name.
Well, I'm deeply humbled and honored this evening to be among these wonderful recipients. When I returned to school, I have to say I thought it was going to be challenging, but as our keynote speaker stated tonight, we have had a wonderful foundation. And to go forward, we are so fortunate to have this esteemed faculty and wonderful staff who've been behind us. Without them all, and our families included, we couldn't have done all this. It's been a lot of work. I agree with you, but you have no idea how beneficial this is going to be to you in the future. I hope that you will go back to your communities and really, really help. There's such disparity, among our young people. They need us. They need our voices. They need our experiences. And they need our examples. Okay, so in the words of the great Martin Luther King, you don't have to see the whole staircase. You just have to have faith. Thank you.
The next person you guys listened to tonight playing the jazz in the foyer is Dr. Chris Hunter. Dr. Hunter is actually a co-founder with Dr. Cunningham and chairing the Black Scholar Awards. He's been here for about 10 years, 15 years now, Chris? 85. Is it? And I got the mic, Dr. Hunter. You better be careful. All right, with no further ado, come on up, Dr. Hunter.
Brother Ibrahim, you've inspired me. In 1999, I had the pleasure to give him the Martin Luther King Jr. Award. And so it's beautiful to see the total cycle. And I appreciate that. And now, because of one of the things, I was looking at two ways to present this young man. And because of what you shared, I wanted to share this particular document and then get to John. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And you ask, why is that important with regard to presenting the St. Clair Drake Award for Outstanding Scholarly Research? And I say that because the recipient, Mr. John Brito, has done this last piece. He's liberated himself from his own fears, and he's found a way by his presence to be with others to help liberate them. Mr. John Brito, would you come down, please? Mr. Brito came here from the bustling metropolis of Pawtucket and was incredibly shocked by coming down to Wakefield and Kingston. Initially, he was looking a little fear because he wasn't sure he wanted to do engineering. We helped him overcome that, and I'm so proud that he's in my department, the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. One of the things that was most promising and I found great joy for me was that he wanted to become a part of NSBE, and not just become a part of it, but to become a leader as a VP and then as president. And I saw his growth, right, and his liberation as he continued to push through this. And I saw an evolution of this young man as he matriculated through our hallowed halls in civil engineering, a scary place sometimes. You know, very few black students, and we talked about the 3% in the campus, but it may be even smaller in civil engineering and engineering in the College of Engineering. But I'm very excited about how he's grown and how he's matured, how he's evolved, how he's liberated himself to fear nothing. He's pulled together approximately 3.3 GPA in a very demanding major. And about his research, his particular studies in environmental engineering, I was asking him, I thought he was just going to URI. He said, no, Dr. Hunter, man, I've been accepted to 4 schools. I was like, okay, man, let's do it. So I've been accepted to the University of Virginia, accepted to the University of Missouri, Northeastern University, as well as URI. And once again, I thought he was just going to hang out and stay at URI. He said, I'm still thinking about it. And then it excited me more. He says, well, I'm not necessarily just thinking about doing a master's. I'm thinking about doing my PhD. He has found his passion. He has been liberated. There's something very special to him about environmental engineering, something special to him about sustainability, something very special to him about looking at great solutions to help people find cleaner drinking water, and using techniques that aren't as invasive. He also has, thoughts of looking at methods of protecting wetlands. So an environmentalist at heart, he's been liberated to do his very best to shine amongst all others. I present to you Mr. John Brito, the winner of the St. Clair Drake Award for Outstanding Scholarly Research.
First, I would like to say thank you for everyone being here. I would like to thank everyone who supported me, College of Engineering, TD, African American Studies. I've always considered myself a global citizen. I check BBC as much as I check my Facebook, so I'm always up on what's going on internationally. And that was one of the reasons why I chose environmental engineering. I believe that as the future goes on, we have to really look towards the environment and try to protect it and try to do it in a sustainable manner. So another thing that's real big to me is being Cape Verdean. My mother is a first generation Cape Verdean. She came from Cape Verde as well as my father. And one of the things that I always wanted to do, even though I wasn't born there, was always give back. And I was able to do that with my research. I was doing water quality out there, and I was able to try to find sustainable solutions to try to solve their problem. It's not as easy as it may look, but with determination, I think that we can be able to solve a lot of the problems that I face in the world today. So I'd just like to say thank you, everyone.
Professor Hunter used an acronym that some of you may not be familiar with. NSB stands for the National Society of Black Engineers.
Congratulations, John. Now, right now, 1985 is extremely relevant as I introduce this next person. It's been on my mind all night.
1985?
Yeah.
Okay.
1985 is when we were champions in football. Okay. And the next person I'm introduced was actually our water boy, Chuck. I got you, Jason. I got you. Now, I say that affectionately because actually he was. And he reminded me how old I was when he came for his interview as vice president, Mr. Pina. But in all seriousness, his father is a Hall of Fame athlete that set the stage for all of us to be here. And although he went to Johnson & Wales, Jason's the man. Jason's the vice president. Jason, come on down here. I'm busting you out, Jason.
He didn't tell you he was sitting next to me on the bench, did he? Uh-huh. Tonight I had the honor to present the St. Elmo Brady Award for Outstanding Achievement in Sciences to Eugenio Fernandez, Jr. Eugenio, can you join me up here, man? Now, I had a chance to speak to him a little earlier, and I asked him a whole bunch of questions we had not met. And then after I was done, he said, well, I got questions for you. So he started asking me a bunch of questions. I'm like, wait a second, I'm not getting nothing tonight. What's going on? So I told him a story that happened to me. It's very interesting that I get to give this award and be honored with meeting Eugenio tonight. Yesterday, I spent half of my day at the doctor's office and at the pharmacy because one of my children were sick. And I went to the pharmacy, and the lady behind the counter said it couldn't fill my prescription. I said, you gotta be kidding me. This Sunday, this kid is sick. I need some drugs. I won't get any sleep tonight. So she took the time. She found my doctor on a Sunday afternoon, which I'm assuming is not easy to do. She negotiated with the physician about another medicine that would help my daughter out and got the prescription filled. I paid my money, and I said, where did you go to school? And of course, if you go to pharmacy in Rhode Island, where did they go to school? All right, URI. So I told her what I did. And she said, really? She happened to be a woman of color. And I said, so what were you involved in when you were here at the university, or when you were at URI? And she turned around and she pointed to the stacks of medicines, and she said, this.
And, I said to her, for my family's sake, I'm very grateful that you didn't do any shenanigans or wasn't too involved in your study, because I really need a child to make it through the night tonight. So that brought a smile to my man's face, and I know why. He has a singular focus, very similar to that student, that pharmacist that I met yesterday, as well as St. Elmo Brady. St. Elmo Brady was a pioneer and possessed a singular focus. He was the first African American to earn a PhD in the field of chemistry when he completed his studies in 1916 at the University of Illinois. That was neither the beginning nor the ending of his illustrious career. He began teaching at 24 years old at Tuskegee Institute. During his time at Illinois, he became the first African American inducted into Phi Lambda Upsilon Honor Society. During his postdoctoral career, he reshaped the curriculum in graduate programs at 4 historically black colleges in this country. Tonight's recipient has already exhibited a sharp and singular focus during his academic career here at URI. Eugenio will graduate with his PharmD in May of 2013. Given his commitment in his community and academically, I know he will excel in his profession. As a native Rhode Islander, I loved reading Eugenio's resume. He has worked at some locations of Providence that are in need of the highest levels of medical care, whether it was Chad Brown Medical Center, Dexter Manor. These patients he consulted with benefited from a caring and knowledgeable student. He has also given back to his community and the College of Pharmacy in significant ways. In his community, he has helped patients understand medical care by his ability to translate with physicians, pharmacists, and families. He's also spent time tutoring at the Lillian Feinstein Elementary School. In the College of Pharmacy, Eugenio serves on the Professionalism Committee. Holding peers and colleagues accountable to high standards is not an easy task. One of my duties at the university is, unfortunately, to do student conduct, upwards of 3,000 cases a year. So I know a little bit of what Eugenio goes through trying to hold students accountable and make sure that those folks that graduate from the University of Rhode Island with a pharmacy degree are held to the highest standards in our community. And I thank you for that. He spent 2 years doing that. Eugenio's future is bright, but our communities will be the biggest beneficiaries of his focus. Without further ado, please welcome Eugenio to the stage.
Thank you, Dr. Pina. My apologies, I didn't have a speech prepared, but I would like to thank Dean Smith, Mark Hodge, Dr. Cunningham, and Gerald, as well as our guest speaker, Ibrahim Abdul-Matin, for coming in and joining us this evening. I just want to touch on what Stephen was mentioning earlier. I do have a lot of friends growing up, and a lot of them, they didn't take classes seriously. Some of them are not here with me, unfortunately, now. And others of them are very, very bright individuals. So I can think of one I grew up with since the 4th grade. And he couldn't get to college. And I asked myself, well, why couldn't he get to college? And the reason is, he wasn't born in this country. So I'm very grateful to be here tonight. Thank you.
Actually, weren't you one of the few students that got accepted into pharmacy after being accepted? Tremendous accomplishment. Now, the next person I'm going to introduce is Dr. Donald Cunningham. You're not beyond reproach, Dr. Cunningham. Dr. Cunningham is a top-notch scholar in race relations. Dr. Cunningham has tutored and mentored students for the last 18 years. And unfortunately, he does not receive enough acknowledgement of the work that he does. Dr. Cunningham when I was a young staff member here on campus, I remember him organizing the faculty and staff of color, and he actually encouraged me to become a scholar, and I went off to Howard University. It's only befitting that I come back and I have the opportunity to work with him. Dr. Cunningham, thanks, man, and you're up.
Thank you. Thank you. Didn't expect all of that, but I appreciate it. Okay, I have the pleasure of presenting the David Edmonds Award for Outstanding Artistic and Creative Expression to Mr. Albert Coelho. Mr. Coelho, Benji, is a talented artist who has recently been admitted to the Master of Fine Arts program at
California State University.
He has appeared in a number of University of Rhode Island theatrical productions and has worked closely with those productions as well. In December 2010, he worked as house manager for the production of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. October 2010, he worked as house manager and understudied the role of Patrick Shebus.
Yes.
Okay. For the main stage production of Spinning into Butter. May 2010, he played Jennings Alec, a lead in the Rhode Island premiere of Unbound, directed by Brenner Workman. February 2010, he's really active artist here. February 2010, he played Don Carlos, a lead on the production of A Flea in Her Ear, directed by Alan Hawkridge. February 2010, he assisted as costume maintenance personnel on the production of Flea in Her Ear. And in 2009, worked as a stage manager on the production of a 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. May 2009, he was an understudy for the role of Prince of Morocco in William Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice. In addition to these, he's appeared in local theatrical productions. He played Demetrius, the lead in William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, and worked as an extra on the Disney production of Dan in Real Life. He's been involved in a variety of other acting activities and training activities. Most importantly, he's been an outspoken person for the inclusion of students of color in the drama department, something that we all feel is critical to adding diversity, not only in the university community, but most importantly, in the theatrical community at URI. With great pleasure, I present the David Edmonds Award in recognition of demonstrated excellence, as well as originality and creativity in the arts.
To be honest, you put me in a big stage in front of an audience of 500 people, I would go up there without a care in the world. But being here in front of everyone, I am a little bit nervous, so bear with me. First and foremost, I would just like to say how much of a great honor and pleasure it is to be here to receive this award among so many highly acclaimed individuals in this room. I appreciate it. It's like so many people in this room, I'm sure, up until a few years ago, college really wasn't even an idea for me. And now to be here at this point, receiving this award, ready to graduate and go off to grad school means a lot. And I really appreciate the opportunity that I've been bestowed here tonight. I would like to thank Talent Development, because without Talent Development, I wouldn't be here at URI. They helped me get accepted to the university, and I truly appreciate that. I would also like to thank my family, because without family, I wouldn't be anything. My mother, my parents, my grandmother, my brothers, my lovely girlfriend, everyone, please, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Congratulations, Albert. The next person is a local rep who's been around for years. And believe it or not, Miss Melway Benson, you've touched all of us. My younger sister was in your grade school. You were actually her teacher. She now has her master's in nursing from UPenn, and she always references you. So with no further ado, Representative Benson, welcome.
To everyone in the audience and all of the young people, and I was sitting there thinking when Mr. Hodge was speaking, and I said, I was in Rhode Island when his father, I'm a native Tennessean, but where's that young lady went to Jackson, Mississippi? Mine is Tennessee. But I was sitting there thinking, and I can remember when your father left the pastorate in Providence and came, as they say, way down here. And he worked with talent development. And what you all don't know about South County, it's a kind of crusty place. If you're old enough, you know what I mean when I say crusty. But he, Reverend Hodge, he broke the mold. And I think to the day, I don't know if anyone in the talent development goes to East Greenwich or North Kingstown High School. You finally got in, huh? I got on the school committee. But in other words, I would like to say and congratulate all of the faculty members who began this. Because in 74, there was 0.0 in 74. I did hear about you, Dr. Dash. I think you broke the seal, didn't you? Yes, where is it?
72, right?
Yeah, they broke the glass seal, but it didn't quite make it. It had a little crack. And then you came and it got a bigger crack. But I want to say to you tonight, and I got a special, real special feeling to the students who say they came from Pawtucket, Providence, and what we now call is the inner city. And I want to say to the young man that gave the speech, he gave a very good speech. And one thing I want all of you young people to remember is, I'll put it in a way that Shakespeare said, know yourself. And when you get to know yourself, know thyself, you can achieve anything. And why I started a small scholarship in remembrance of my son who went to school here, it was 0. But through the years, it worked. And to see all of you here tonight getting these awards, it's just like having a sold-out concert for who is that famous rock star? Now name one for me, you young people. Well, at any rate, it's a pleasure for me to be here. And I'm wearing 2 hats, and so I'm going to speak about both of them at the same time, if it's permissible with you. Okay. Will the person come up who's getting the Estes Benson Award? That's my son.
Ms. Danielle Henderson and Mr. Gene Oberg.
Danielle, I was very impressed when they were talking about you. And remember one thing, the best thing in life is to give back more than you receive. And it's an honor for me to place this on your receiving line tonight. Thank you so much. Mr. Oberg, oh, what a beautiful smile. It's an honor and a pleasure for me to present this to you in the name of my son. I call him the lone wolf when he was down here. And he would be very proud. And if you believe in someone smiling on you, he's smiling on you tonight. So it is with great pleasure I give you the Estes Benson Award. And Mr. Henderson.
That's Miss Henderson.
Miss Henderson. There are little privileges in being running being in public office. I was a state representative from North Kingstown with 0% minority votes. That sent me to Providence, and I stayed 14 years and left on my own. So, you people prepare yourself because it is a new day. It is a new day. I'm also standing here tonight to represent a legislature who is a woman of color, and I adopted her. I was there before she came, and when she came, I was glad to see her. And I used to often ask her, Anastasia, why did you run for the House? And if any of you are here from Providence, you know about Wigan Village. How many of you? Okay, good. Anastasia was a single mother. She and her husband had parted ways, like they sometimes do, you know, you males. And she ran up against the problem. And she said, I can't do nothing about it sitting in this house. They kept telling her, well, state laws say this and state laws say that. Anastasia decided that she would get out and run. She's on her 16th year in the House of Representatives that I'm going to tell, give URI more money, because that's where it's coming from, brothers and sisters. And she ran and been elected ever since, and is the chairman of one of the most powerful committees that we have in the House of Representatives, and that's the Labor Committee. She's a native Providence young girl, but she saw a need, as the speaker spoke and said, because she was determined that what they were telling her, well, this is state law and that's state law and this is city law, I'm going to get in there and work and find out and make sure it happens to no one else. And as I said, from all of you, from Providence, Kentucky, I think I saw a young man speak tonight from Cumberland, and somewhere up in that northern corner of Rhode Island. It's a miracle, and it's wonderful that you're here. But we don't have everything in South County. But before 95 was put in, you know, it was a joke. The people from South Kingstown, Narragansett, where's the man? He left. That they didn't get no further than Watson's Dairy. Where they put 95, it used to be a lot of, there was a dairy farm, and you'd see a lot of cows out there. So they never went no farther than that. And it's wonderful to hear about your sister. Your father was in service, wasn't he?
Actually, my grandfather, you know him, Bill.
Who?
Double Alexander.
Small word.
Okay, this is Mr. Oberg.
And this is for you, Mr. Oberg.
As I call your name, please.
As I call it.
Oh, come on. This is another force of nature. You don't mess with this.
As he called your name, please come down and I will shake your hand. And to Dr. Dash and Dr. Bibb, you know we need to give the Dash Bibb Day.
Yes. Yes. Okay. What you say? Miss Ashley D. Smith. Mr. William B. McGinnis. Miss Ruth Phillips. Mr. Marquise Jones. Mr. Jones Mr. Stephen Larby. Mr. Ibrahim Abdul-Matin. Mr. Albert Coelho. Ms. Carlene Fiorito. Mr. Eugenio Fernandez. Those of you who are in the Onyx may remain. Those of you who are not may have a seat. Rather than keep having them going back and forth. How you doing? Yours is over there on the floor, isn't it? Yeah. We used to have candles at the ceremony, but someone told us that was a fire hazard, so we had to discontinue the candles. Just a sound check. Am I good? Okay. In 2005, the Rhode Island Onyx Senior Honor Society was founded as an independent organization by 2 University of Rhode Island faculty members. The impetus for the founding of the independent Rhode Island organization was derived from a similarly named group established in 1974 by 3 administrators and 7 black students at the University of Pennsylvania. The purpose of the society is to recognize the academic achievement of graduating seniors of African descent. It was established to encourage and provide incentives for scholastic excellence and community service at the university. The founders wanted to foster appreciation for such endeavors and to give recognition for outstanding performance in these areas. The Rhode Island Onyx Senior Honor Society's name is derived from the pure black microcrystalline translucent variety of quartz. This beautiful stone's clarity reflects the fine qualities that the Rhode Island Onyx founders believed as essential characteristics for its members. It was this clarity of purpose that served as the basis for the establishment of the Honor Society's threefold mission. The Rhode Island Onyx Society 3 tenets are cultural pride.
Onyx members strive to recognize and maintain the cultural traditions and values of their predecessors and propagate them to their successors. Community service.
Onyx members strive to be compassionate and kind-hearted, to give themselves and to assist those who can benefit from their good work. Academic excellence.
Onyx members strive to meet high scholastic standards as members of an educational community.
Together, these 3 tenets provide the foundation upon which the society is built. Through these tenets, we hope to create a positive social experience for blacks at the University of Rhode Island and to recognize black achievement, past and present. You are welcomed as new members of the Onyx Senior Honor Society with all the rights, honors, and privileges thereunto appertaining. Ms. Danielle Henderson. Ms. Carlene Fiorito. Mr. Gene W. Oberg. Mr. Theophilus Osei. Congratulations. Ms. Ashley D. Smith. Mr. Eugenio Fernandez. Miss Christina Knoll. Assuming it's no, it's not no. No. Yeah, I guess. Mr. John P. Brito. Mr. Willie D. McGinnis. Mr. Albert Coelho. Ms. Paulina Lacazade. Ms. Rose Laurent. Are there any people that I have a whole bunch of other people, as you can see, 31 people on the list. Did I miss anyone? I'm glad you said it, because I was going to mess it up. You know, butcher it. Campaign stuff? Oh, the K is down. Miss Geneva S. Pannenbach.
You ready?
You're on.
As the advisors of the Rhode Island Onyx Senior Society of the University of Rhode Island, we congratulate you guys.
Another person, Miss Nicole Duckworth. I remember that name. You didn't get a chance to see them. Ms. Henderson, you're in the front row, so I'm going to call you out. You want to put on your kente stole so you can model it. All the Onyx Honor Society members received Onyx Senior Honor Society kente stoles, and these stoles were provided by the URI Alumni Poet Network. Yeah. And that's because, as I said, Representative Benson is a force of nature, but I usually follow up what she said with something about the Benson Award recipients. Although Ms. Henderson was discussed by Professor Moore, I'd like to say something about Mr. Gene Oberg. Mr. Oberg, as you can see, has an overall 3.37. I might add that the GPAs that you have in the program are GPAs derived from the first semester. So people have higher GPAs than those, may have higher, in some cases lower, but they're all still in 3-point range than those, and their semester GPAs may be higher than those that you see. Those are overall GPAs. Okay, so in the program you see 337, but his GPA is 3.5. He has worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers. He's worked as an intern for the Rhode Island State Government. He served as an academic tutor for the Academic Enhancement Center. He's been a mentor for URI 101. He's worked on the Ryan Center's events staff, and he's worked as a transporter for the Miriam Hospital in Providence. He's an active member of the FEASY, 7-Day Adventist Church. This one always causes me a little pain here. He's a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. I'm an alpha. But my dad and my brother both prayed too, unfortunately. He is a member of the Multicultural Greek Council. He has been an Exceed Scholar, an Inroads Program member, a Business School Advisory Council member, a National Society of Collegiate Scholars member, Phi Eta Sigma Honor Society member. He's a member of Bond. He is a member of NESB. He's a member of Ukuru Sasa, and he was a participant in the Harvard Summer Venture and Management Program. As you can see, Mr. Oberg is an outstanding contributor both to the community and scholarly. I might want to add just a little bit more in here because she has like this really long CV. I'm going to wrap it up, Professor Moore. But these are some of the things that Professor Moore didn't mention. You pretty much gathered that she was a freelance writer from all of her contributions to various journals. But she's also been a marketing representative, a special projects assistant. She worked in a bakery, but she also was a glass blowers assistant, a campus diversity and compliance coordinator for the University of Alaska. She worked for Human Resources as a manager for Leader Creek Fisheries, a bookseller. She's a true Renaissance woman in every sense of the word. That's some of the things that and there's so many more that we can add about Ms. Henderson. This concludes our program, and we really appreciate the very strong attendance and participation in this event. I noticed around the room that we have some other past recipients along with Mr. Ibrahim Abdul-Matin, including Ms. Kimberly Anderson, who is presently a dean in this very building, which you stand. Mr. Simon, who's mentioned before. Are there any others? Mr. Edmonds was here. Has he left? Mr. Maxwell Edmonds, who had a 3.99 GPA last year and is a pre-med and French major. I'd like to take this opportunity to ask all the friends and loved ones, parents, to stand, and we should give them a round of applause. Parents and loved ones, I see a whole row of fellow people. I know some of you have to do one one. Thank you. The one last thing that Mr. Barker told me that I need to do before we end is to beg for money. It's not a Baptist church, but we have a brand new website that we, yes, thank you for coming on that and wrapping me up. We have a brand new website that we can thank our Dean of College of Arts and Sciences, Dean Winifred Brownell, for supporting. And I encourage you all to go to it. It's www.uri.edu/BSA. It'll give you a little background history on the Black Scholar Awards that was founded by my colleague and I, Dr. Harsh Logan. And it'll give you the names of all the members and past recipients and all the wonderful pictures of all of our colleagues. And you'll know what this effort is all about. Finally, money. It also has a link about how to support us. We've been graced over the years with support from Vice Provost's office this year, but usually we receive funds from the Office of the President. Hat in hand, I go begging every year. And we also receive funds from the University of Rhode Island National Alumni Association. But we'd appreciate any funds, $1, a dime, but we like larger sums of money to help us out. And you may contribute that through an account that we have at the URI Foundation by contacting either Professor Hunter or yours truly. On that, I'll bring Dr. Donna Gilton to offer benediction.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord makes his face shine upon you and be gracious gracious unto you, and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you, and give you peace, and give you peace.
Thank you. Good night.